Well, hello everyone. It's warmed up quite a bit here in Calgary, and I'm just heading back out to the garage to get started on a big cleanup. So why don't you join me inside? So welcome back to the Econobox garage, and warmed up a little bit, relatively speaking. So what I'm going to do is get started on cleaning out the garage. I'm going to move my oil changing stuff from this side of the garage over to underneath the parts cleaner, and I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put the old gas tank. I'm going to hang on to that in case somebody needs one. That's one for the Bugeye. I've got Festiva tools there. I've already figured out where I'm going to slide those. I've got to clean out underneath here. There's some spare parts off the Bugeye, some of which I'm going to keep, some of which I'm going to possibly pass on to another owner. So I do have a lot to do, so let's get started. Well, I've got some of the stuff cleaned up from around my parts cleaner, and you may notice that I've got a couple of 1x4s under one side there. That's because my actual solvent is getting low. I've had to tilt it up to keep the pump submerged. I am looking at refreshing the cleaner. As you can see, it's really dirty in there. So that might be one thing. The other item I was thinking about is moving all my oil change stuff over to this side. I've just had it sitting on the floor over here. Now that 5-gallon pail is about 14.5 inches high, and the space between the bottom of the cleaner and the first shelf there is at 12.5. So I'm going to drop that bottom shelf 3 inches so I can get that 5-gallon pail in there, and that'll still leave me room underneath to put the drain pan itself. Now, one thing I've discovered when you're cleaning up is how much stuff you actually accumulate. So in an earlier part of the video, you'll have seen I had a couple of boxes sitting on top of the parts cleaner, in front of it, and a bunch of stuff around it. I've moved the fuel tank up on the top shelf there for now. It fits quite nicely, actually, and it's out of the way. But I'll get back to that later. But if you look on the table here, all of this stuff was either in those boxes or packed around the parts cleaner. Everything from here over is all Ford Festiva stuff. And then from that point to the left is Bugeye Sprite stuff. I have an old heater core that I have no idea if it works or not. I will be keeping this oil filter setup that came off the original engine in the car, which I still have over on a shelf. But I will be selling this unit here. This came off 1098, or a later model 1098. So that'll be going up for sale shortly. I've got a couple of panels for the heater stuff. So if you have any recommendations or suggestions on whether to sell some of this stuff or just toss it or keep it, let me know in the comment section below again. As for the Festiva stuff, I'll be going through that and probably putting something up on a couple of the forums and to see if anybody's interested in any of those parts. So, enough talking. Let's get back to work. Well, I've got this one little area sorted out, and so that's off to a good start. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to decide what to do with all of this Bugeye stuff and all of this Festiva stuff in the next little bit. So next I'm going to tackle up this pile of wood, and I'll get the golf clubs down. And there's a couple of things that I need to get rid of over in this corner as well. Well, there's that area pretty much cleaned out where I had all my wood stacked. Some of the stuff I'm going to get rid of, like pegboard I've got up. I put out some inquiries, see if anybody wants it, and I've also put it on a local buy and sell. This one here is an old dartboard backer project that never got finished, so I'm going to get rid of that. I have some leftover laminate from projects. I'm just going to get rid of that. This is a bunch of pallet wood that I'm going to keep. I've got to go through my corner here with the metal, but I'll get that. You can see where I have my oil stuff, so I'll try and clean that up as best I can now that it's moved to the other side. The golf clubs here, and a bunch of panel stuff that I'm going to keep. And then this OSB, I'll be using that in just a bit here to put another shelf together, which will go right here. So I'm going to pull down the hook that's screwed into the wall up here, and a couple of nails. I'll get rid of those as well. And yeah, oh, and there's a pile of stuff I'm just going to get rid of that's scrap. I don't know why it was keeping it. To give you an example, those window panes over there, we moved into this house carrying those with us, and that was 37 years ago. So I've got those up for sale on the local buy and sell sites as well. So anything I get from selling this stuff goes into the Bugeye fund that will help me keep moving forward on projects there. So I've made good progress so far. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to build another shelf unit similar to this one to go in this corner here, and I'll be able to put the golf clubs in the bottom of that and some other sporting goods, and then I'll put a couple of shelves up higher, and I put my jack stands up there. I do have, I think, about 8 or 9 of them. Well, you can see I've got a lot of stuff cleaned out of this area here, and I'm just about ready to go with shelving, and I've been putting some thought into things. Let's go down here a bit. I'm going to leave this shelf unit where it is, but I'm going to take out 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves in there, and that way I can tuck the lawnmower in, and that one will be for gardening and stuff that we need in the yard. There's some stuff that'll go back in the house, and then I'll go through all my I've got ski boots and roller blades and some other stuff up here. So most of that will go on the new shelf I'm going to build at this end. That will have the golf club, ski boots, and all that in it. So for now, first of all, I'm going to make the set of shelves for the sporting goods. So here's the material I'm going to be using to make my shelf unit up. I've got a piece of 3/8 OSB that's going to cut in half, and it'll be just under 12 inches wide for both sides. And then I'm going to use these shelves. So these are 12 inches wide and 36 inches long. And as I mentioned in an earlier video, I picked up about 60 or 70 of these for 25 cents a piece from a store that had changed out all their warehouse racking. One of those cases of being in the right place at the right time. So I have that sheet of OSB cut in half, and I didn't realize it was painted on one side, so that's a bit of a bonus. I've clamped them together. I'm going to run a series of holes at 3 inches on center, 3 1/8 of an inch in from each edge, and those will go the full height, and those holes will correspond with these two on the shelves. And I'll cut a little notch out to clear the baseboard at the bottom here. Let's get those holes marked out and drilled. Okay, I have all the holes drilled down the full length, and I've got the notch cut out for the baseboard. The next step is to find my hardware and get the shelves attached. Well, I'm going to call that a success. I've got it up on the wall. I've just put a piece of wood down here between the two side panels to keep that spread apart at the 36 inches. I have the strap that goes across the back secured to the wall, and I have one of the shelves secured to the wall, so that fairly confident that's going to stay where it's supposed to be. So now I'll get it loaded up. I'm going to have the golf clubs down in here. I have ski boots and such in here, and then camping stuff like camp stove, fuel, and that, all in that. So that's going to be kind of our recreational station. Well, there we've got the one shelf unit set up. I've tidied up the bit of wood that I'm keeping. My metal is a little bit better, and you can see I've moved all my ski stuff over. I have some stuff I'm going to get rid of, like these roller blades and that, but golf clubs go in there nicely. Yeah, quite happy with how that turned out. I've got camping stuff up here, and then on this other set of shelves, as I mentioned earlier, I just took out, I think it ended up being 3 shelves out of here, so I can put my lawnmower under there, and then I'm going to put a hook up underneath so I can hang the weed whacker. I'm going to work towards getting this shelf ready for all the gardening stuff, which is in a big bucket over here. Now that this end is pretty much done, so I can start making more of a plan to go down to the other end of the garage. Now, one thing I have decided to do is wait till spring to do anything up in the attic. If you recall, in a much earlier video, I showed where I had been doing some work on the ceiling and ended up dropping on an electrical box on the car not too long after I'd done the paint. So I don't want a repeat of that. So when it warms up and I can park the car outside, I will get to work on cleaning up here. Believe it or not, there's 2 transmissions sitting up there right now. I've got extra skis and a bunch of other stuff that I'll have to go through. So I'm quite happy with the result so far. I am going to pick up some new solvent for the parts cleaner very soon, and I'll get that all cleaned up and set back on the floor properly. But that's all I have time for now. Well, that's all we have time for this video. Thanks for joining me. And it seems, as always, with garage projects, they end up taking way longer than what you expect or had planned. So I didn't get as far along in the project as I'd hoped. If you missed last week's video, I'll put a link up in the top corner here for that video so you can go catch up. And if you'd like to see where we got started with our Bugeye build, I'll put a link in the bottom corner where you can go see that video. If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to share it with your friends. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget that little bell icon. Click on that and you'll get notified when the next video comes out. My name is Ian. This is the Econobox Garage. We'll see you next time.